This is Michael Wilson. We're looking at the question, how are we saved? Well, grace is an essential part of God's character, and it is through God's grace that we're in fact delivered and saved. Grace is closely related to God's benevolence, his love, and his mercy. Grace can variously be defined as God's favor toward the unworthy or God's benevolence on the undeserving. In his grace, God is willing, he is joyful, he's happy to forgive us and to bless us abundantly, in spite of the fact that we don't deserve to be treated so well and dealt with so generously. So we learn from the Apostle Paul in Romans 11:6, it is by grace that we are saved. It is no longer on the basis of works, things that we do. Otherwise, grace would no longer be grace. It's not a gift if we earn it. Grace is a word that has many meanings and applications in the Bible. In general, grace refers to the unmerited favor or the kindness of God toward man. Grace is not something that we earn or deserve, but rather something that God freely gives us out of his love and mercy. Grace is the basis of our salvation and our forgiveness in our relationship with God. Grace can also mean the beauty and loveliness of God's words and actions and the pleasant feeling that they evoke in the receivers. Grace also provokes joy and gratitude in those who experience. Grace is something that means the gifts or abilities that God gives us to serve him and others. Grace can also mean the divine influence that operates in us for regeneration and sanctification. Grace is the essential theme in the Bible and especially the New Testament. The Apostle Paul often begins and ends his letters with the blessing of grace to his readers. He emphasized that we are saved by grace through faith. He also teaches that God's grace is sufficient for us in our weakness and that his grace abounds in us in all circumstances. So grace is an amazing, it's a wonderful gift from God. It reveals God's character and his plans for us. Grace shows us how much God loves us and how much he wants us to love him back. Grace invites us to receive God's gift and salvation and to live in his presence and power. Grace enables us to grow in holiness and to serve God with joy. So we close from this from John 1:17. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth come through Jesus the Messiah.